This is Lily. Lily came to us kind of a long, grown out, just typical round layer haircut. She's got some really nice texture, and we wanted to create a longer shape, but still be creative in the approach. So, starting off with the sectioning, just give you a nice view of it. Essentially, we've got kind of a little rectangle up in through the crown area, and then split down the middle, one side for the left, one for the right, and then the back section from about the mastoid process, and it kind of dips down into the back. So, like always, working in different zones. Gonna start dead center in the back. Always working really cleanly. Maintaining the grooming first and foremost. That'll just help with the end result and get me there quicker. So working the middle section, what we're going to do is we're going to elevate the hair straight up. So I'm going to create a really concave layer through that underneath panel there. And all that means is just shorter on the interior and longer on the exterior. She's got quite a bit of hair and it's really quite long, so maintaining cleanliness in the sections helps. So section 2 comes up to section 1, just bringing everything straight backwards within that panel. Not really over directing into the middle, but just bringing everything straight up and straight out from the head shape. So it's not a ton of hair being cut off. All these panels are going to be disconnected from each other, so it's just that little bit at the top that we're trying to do while preserving the length by elevating up. So working on to the other side, same thing, body position stays the same way. That way the elbow can go up and I can cut from short to long. Not trying to overthink it, just really letting my body do the work for me. So there you can see the elevation and how everything's kind of over directed just straight backwards. Last one on this side, straight up, straight back. And just cut the line square to the floor. So with the placement of the sectioning, you're going to get this kind of short to long layered effect, but it'll be slightly different just based on that little U through the back there. So working into the front, taking a middle section, so a little bit from the left and a little bit from the right. And the section's almost triangle in shape, so it's a little wider at the hairline and skinnier towards the back. Gonna elevate that straight out from the head and just cut a line that follows the head shape. Second section, pivoting off that point, bringing everything straight out, following the head shape. Again, pivoting again. So you'll notice my body position turns. So what I'm trying to do is have a fluid connection from the point there and then work my way around into the sides. So really the length that we're doing is going to stay through the edges. It's just going to create like a really heavy fringe. Almost kind of too long in a sense. Wanted to work it more artistically in that way. So as you can see, as I work around down to the bottom, I'm not really cutting the hair that falls into the edges. Kind of leaving some of that length. So they're just kind of checking, making sure that I want to leave that out. You know, with it being long, it's very forgiving, so it's a little bit more feeling in this haircut. Still technical, but kind of approaching it in a different way. So on the other side, I'm just doing the same thing, working to the shape of the head, and then pivoting off that middle point and working my way around until I get into the sides. Kind of checking the balance. There you can see it's not really over directed forward so much as just kind of brought straight up, but still leaving that perimeter length out. Wanting to kind of preserve that. Another way to look at it, kind of just cutting the hair that lives right around the hairline and then everything that sits behind it, just allowing it to kind of fall and be how it was with the previous haircut. It's kind of constantly combing and grooming, getting everything into position the way that I want it to be. Just checking the balance there. Kind of combing the fringe down. Just seeing if the kind of disconnection is the way that I want it to look. And then once I'm happy with it, we can move into that bigger kind of rectangle section here through the back. So in the crown area, just taking a middle section, grooming everything out of the way that I don't want. So I'll just be left with the really clean middle section there, and that'll be what I base my new guideline off of. You'll notice I even groomed the hair that we already cut in the back up, just so I'm not accidentally picking it up, because we are going to do a disconnected convex layer over the top. So just pulling straight out from the head shape and walking my way up. So kind of your standard 90-degree haircut just in this one panel. Not cutting everything all at once, making sure that I'm taking increment sections to make sure that my technique is clean and that the end result turns out the way that I want it to. So I think with long hair, we have a tendency to kind of cheat because we're so used to it and we can do it so fast, but I still approach this in a very technical way, just like I would if I was cutting a bob. So just slowly working up, being very methodical. The over direction here is all back to the center section. So I want it to follow the head shape vertically, but horizontally I want it to kind of fan out a bit more. And you'll notice there's no connection between this panel, the panel in the back, and then the panel in the front. With long hair, when you add disconnections like this, it allows for more movement. And you'll see once we do the blow dry, we get it diffused out. She's got this really cool kind of wavy texture that makes this haircut look really nice. So same thing to the opposite side, just over directing everything to the center, kind of condensed it there a bit. Just pulled everything to the middle and walked my way up the head. Now releasing that underneath and just kind of getting my hands in it, letting some of that texture release, looking at how the disconnections work, seeing what her natural texture is going to do. Again, the fringe is quite long. We left it that way so, it could be worn to the side, it could be worn down the middle, it could be worn very heavy and down, which is what we do for the photos. But there's kind of the wet shape. Once it's all down with the length that it is, you can't really tell that there was all those disconnections in there. It just looks kind of like a, fluid long haircut. So as far as the blow dry for this, I was really aggressive. Typically on a diffuse, you don't want to touch the hair too much, but with her texture, I felt comfortable with it not frizzing out. So really just picking up the hair, and drying it as is with its natural texture. Allowing the hair to kind of jump and get a little bit messy. This is probably what she's going to do with her hair. Just without diffusing it. She's going to just let it kind of dry naturally. So now just kind of coming through and rough drying, really just getting all the moisture out of it, kind of seeing how it's going to move around, looking at the hair that's falling over the fringe, kind of dictating what I'm going to do with the refinement. Because of the fact that we diffused it, when I refine it, I'm not going to be able to comb through it as much. So it's going to be very visual and just kind of picking up the pieces that I don't want to be in the haircut anymore. Again, I think long hair is way more forgiving than short hair. So even though I approach it technically, I can still act on it very visually like I am here. So just kind of pinching pieces that I don't want anymore and then just kind of stroking the hair away. So just closing the scissor on the way in, opening on the way out. I'm not really back combing the hair, but I am cutting it every time I do it. And it's just going to add a little diffused line. I think with the color, it's really neat. It's kind of like a distressed denim almost. So really no rhyme or reason here, just picking up what I don't want to see and taking it away. A lot of this will be focused in the fringe area for this particular haircut. The technique through the other panels was pretty much done. So now it's just coming in and kind of piecing out the fringe the way that I want it to be. I think this becomes a very kind of lived in rock and roll type feel. But something that can also be dressed up a bit. So in through the sides now, kind of the same thing, just a bit more aggressive on those longer panels, just kind of going through and chunking out some weight, just taking pieces of the hair, allowing it to kind of be a little bit more messy, a little bit more distressed. Not so technical in the approach here, way more visual. Just picking up what I see that I don't want to be there and taking it away. Kind of shaking out the texture, getting rid of some of those loose hairs. Really just want to see how it's going to do. I think this will look even better, day 2, day 3. So a little finishing hairspray, nothing too strong. Just want to give it a slight bit of hold and then kind of just moving the hair around. When I approached this, we thought very much photograph-wise how this would look with the fringe down in her face. And so it might not be something that she's going to walk around with like that, but for the sake of what we were doing, I think it's a great look. Kind of pushed off to the side so you can see it that way. She could part it in the middle if she wanted to. Just gives her some options, and I think options are what our clients want. It's going to make them happier and make us more valuable to them. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you like it.